Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Turyam Chida Virohena Varena Jagrihu Drumaha Yasham Niryasa Rupena Brahmahatya Pradrishyate. Turyam Cheda Virohena Varena Jagrihu Drumaha Yasham Niryasa Rupena Brahmahatya Pradrishyate. Turyam Cheda Virohena Varena Jagrihu Drumaha Tesham Niryasa Rupena Brahmahatya Pradrishyate. I'd like to repeat, chant the verse Sanskrit.
Turyam Cheda Virohena Varena Jagrahur Dhruvaha Tesham Niryasa Rupena Brahma Hatya Padrishyate.
Thank you. James Viltroy would like to try to read Sanskrit. Alright, word by word translation. Turyam, one force. Cheda, although being cut. Virohena, for growing again. Varena, because of the benediction. Jagrihu, accepted. Drumaha, the trees. Tesham, of them. Niryasa Rupena, by the liquid oozing from the trees. Brahmahatya, the reaction for killing a Brahmana. Pradrishyate is visible. Translation. In return for Indra's benediction that their branches and twigs would grow back when trimmed, the trees accepted 1/4 of the reactions for killing a Brahmana. These reactions are visible in the flowing of sap from trees. Therefore, one is forbidden to drink this sap. And the next verse, there is no purport to this one. In return for Lord Indra's benediction that they would be able to enjoy lust desires continuously, even during pregnancy, for as long as sex is not injurious to the embryo, women accepted 1/4 of the sinful reactions. As a result of those reactions, women manifest the sign of menstruation every month. Purport. Women as a class are very lusty, and apparently their continuous lusty desires are never satisfied. In return for Lord Indra's benediction, that there would be no cessation to their lusty desires, women accepted 1/4 of the sinful reactions of killing Brahmana. Again, text. In return for Indra's benediction, that their branches and twigs would grow back when trimmed, the trees accepted 1/4 of the reactions for killing a Brahmana. Those reactions are visibly in the flowing of sap from trees, therefore one is forbidden to drink this sap. In return for Lord Indra's benediction that they would be able to enjoy lusty desires continuously, even during pregnancy, for as long as sex is not injurious to the embryo, women accepted 1/4 of the sinful reactions. As a result of those reactions, women manifest the signs of menstruation every month. Om Gyanam Tasya, Janam Jana Lakayam, Chakshu Nidamya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Pada Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Naitinamine Namaste Saraswati Guruvani Vicharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshitarine. So since we are in, I would say, close, almost family-like circle, I would confess to you, I was thinking that I hope that this verse, I will not get this verse to give class on. This was my hope. So, but exactly this verse I got. So, first of all, we can see that how West reactions person got after killing a Brahmana. It seems only one person was killed, and now we have deserts around the world, like Sahara and others, and all the ladies of the world struggling each month with pains and discomfort, and some water considered contaminated. And I'm not sure, honestly speaking, maybe Tarkov knows exactly, but I'm just curious what kind of sap we are talking about, because like we know that we're actually tapping sap from the tree and make it in maple syrup, which devotees love. So I'm not sure what kind of sap we are talking about in those verses, which we can't drink. So it shows how real Brahmana is valued, how much value Brahmana has for the society. Only one person was killed, but such huge reactions. What is the value of Brahmana? And Srila Prabhupada wanted, he said that ISKCON is manufacturer for Brahmanas. At least this was one of the goals of Srila Prabhupada when he established ISKCON. Of course, now we may ask ourselves how actually we prosperous, or how successful we are achieving this goal, how we are successful in producing or creating or cultivating brahmanas. Because a brahmana is a highly qualified human being whose main purpose in the society, our main value is educating, and educating not only by speech, but educating by the example of exalted behavior. First of all, Brahmana knows that he's not this body, but in Vedic society, actually, everyone knew. It's not something very high. But in the ninth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Damadagni, if I remember correctly the name, the father of Parashurama explains to Lord Parashurama why actually Brahmana is so respected which quality is really like the essence of Brahmana. And he explained that actually this is quality of forgiveness. So Brahman is very tolerant and he doesn't take offense easily. If we have society considered of Brahmanas, then it's very stable society. People are very tolerant, very patient with each other, and quite and forgiving. And forgiveness is not something very easy. Because it means someone did something, some injustice to us, and we just forgive it. Uh, but this is not easy, but this is what the essence why the Madani explained, why this is the reason why other people actually worship Brahmanas because of this quality. And forgiveness, it's not something like psychological state, and I can go to my bathroom and find mirror and chant some affirmation. I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. Some modern stuff. No, forgiveness based on actual knowledge. Patience and tolerance. This is all based real forgiveness, real patience and tolerance based on knowledge. Based on knowledge, how this world works actually. Um, and when I first heard that, when I just met devotees and I heard that actually Vedic knowledge was taught only to Brahmanas, like Vedas were studied by Brahmanas. Shudras were not allowed. Some class of men were not allowed. So it's a very kind of, when you take one group of people and saying actually they have some limitations for modern understanding, for modern mentality, it sounds very offensive. But the thing is, we be raised in such a mood by our modern system of education that it doesn't matter who I am, I can understand things, I can learn things. It doesn't matter what qualities I have, math or biology or anything. I can just study, and it doesn't matter what kind of quality, uh, human qualities I have. But actually, um, it's extremely important. We can, I don't know, somehow I think of example of Arjuna and Ekalavya. What was the reason why Dronacharya didn't want to teach Ekalavya? Because actually Ekalavya was low-born and he didn't have um, qualities good enough. And what does it mean? That then when time will come to use the science, it will not be used in order to bring benefit others. It will use to bring distraction to others. So knowledge itself can be used as a knife. Knife can be used for good, for cooking, food and then offering it to Krishna, but knife also could be used for killing people. So knowledge in a similar way can be used for different purpose. Um, if you know even simple law of karmic reactions, so we can use it to build our life in a certain way and teach other people to build life in such a way. And we can use this knowledge also to humiliate someone without any compassion. When someone is suffering and you don't have hearts for this person, you can say, "Oh, it's just your karma." But this is really cruel and not compassionate. So if I don't have quality, what I would do when suffering comes into my life, I would say, Krishna, I'm your devotee. Why this and that happened to me? But then when I see that devotee next to me is going through something, I would say, oh, what a big deal. It's just your karma, you know. But this shows that lack of real human qualities. Because human qualities, Vaishnava qualities, means compassion, and Vaishnava culture means culture of care. So this is very, very shortly why actually Brahmanas are so important. Those who can live knowledge, not only study and have theoretical knowledge, but those people who can actually apply knowledge in their life and can be the example and inspiration for other people in the society as an ideal pattern for behavior. And therefore, and of course, Krishna loved Brahmanas. He loves cows and Brahmanas. Go Brahmana Hitacha. Actually, somehow other cows goes first. Go, go Brahmana Hitacha. So at the same time, every morning while we are going around Tulsi Devi, we are saying that all sins are destroyed just by circumambulating Tulsi Devi. Because the process of bhakti is higher than everything else and can save us from any results of our bad activities in the past, but providing that we stop it and dedicate ourselves fully to devotional service of the Lord. We can't commit sinful activities and relying that, oh, actually, I will commit today and tomorrow I will go for Nagari and just go around the tree and I will be saved. Of course, not like that. Bhakti process is very important sincerity that I gave up all the sinful activities and trying my best to hold the process and take guidance, and then as process brings fruit. And even it's very simple, but the fruit of devotional service is devotional service. The fruit of devotional service is devotional service. Devotion, nothing else. Because, of course, by practicing bhakti we can achieve any other results. But this is kind of I forgot English word. Side effect. Kind of side effect of bhakti. Because real bhakti produces only one result, more bhakti. The thing is, before Krishna gives us bhakti, he will offer everything else because he doesn't want to give himself cheaply. If he can give something else and we are satisfied, then he doesn't need to give himself. So everything else will be offered before, and you know, we even can observe that sometimes devotees in our society might came to the level of satisfying life. Kind of, this is good, this is like, okay, settled. And then the main idea that devotees do not stop here. This is like a tree and it has low-hanging fruits. But actually fruit of bhakti is much higher. And if we are satisfied by those low-hanging fruits and we are not striving for higher fruits, then we will not get Krishna because he is the highest fruit. And we need to really climb to this tree to get it. So, and of course, this today's words say quite boldly that women as a class are very lusty, and some men they can feel like, oh, I'm a man, I'm better. Of course, if we just think in terms of regulative principles and how our ISKCON society develops, maybe someone will disagree, but my observation that actually ladies much more often complain that their husbands are not able to follow the fourth regulative principle, and ladies are not so attached to this kind of sense enjoyment. At the same time, when ladies come and say, "Oh, I don't have lust. This is my husband," and in that situation, I just say, "Really? But what about your desire to have a very nice, cozy home, fine clothes, fine dresses, jewelry, and etc., etc.? This is also lust. Desire to have material objects of sense enjoyment. It just take a variety of forms. And I would say by reading this text, we only can say that nowadays many men became just like a woman, very lusty in a sense of sex enjoyment and also in the sense of unnecessary commodity to buy, purchase, and so-called enjoy. Because actually how much enjoyment can give us all those purchases. We are just flooded by the ocean of consumerism, and very often people buy things which they can live without. And maybe sometimes they create such a things you even don't know that it can be like exist. And if nobody tell you, you never think that I really need it and I really need to buy it, purchase it, or get it. How Srila Prabhupada explains that economics is last on organized scale. So all our society, modern society is based economic development. If there is no economic development, that it's very undeveloped country, or like we can't allow ourselves to live without economic development. So it means we can't allow ourselves to live without lust. We need to do everything to satisfy our senses and satisfy our senses right now. There are two things, priyas and shriyas. Priyas, what is in Russian language, it even sound very similar to Sanskrit. Priyatno, priyas, priyatno. It's something which we can enjoy right now by our material senses. And shriyas, it's long-term benefit and benefit for the soul. So right now, since majority of people, they think, even in theory, what we speak in practice, they think, even we think that we are this body. That's why we are trying to make arrangements what is good for our body right now. And we're not so eager to sacrifice something to achieve benefit for actual self, for the soul. And it's very practical matter. Let's say when I choose a job or organize my lifetime, what are my priorities? How I make those decisions? How much comfort right now I can sacrifice for making space for my spiritual practice, which is supposed to be the center of my life, especially if I got initiated. Then initiation, sometimes devotees think that initiation is just about 4 rules and chanting 60 rounds. Of course, it's a great achievement if during whole entire life we do this. But initiation actually means really dedication ourselves to spiritual master and following his instructions, and not following his instructions for being a nice person, but following his instruction for his pleasure of the Lord. And we act in such a way that we are pleasing for the devotees around us. This is real initiation when we are trying our best sincerely, not formally, because sometimes even our own ISKCON devotees, they think it's kind of an agreement. I got Sanskrit name and I follow my 4 rules and chant my rounds somehow, and then I do what I want. But actually, real initiation means that whatever I do, whether I'm messaging to another devotee or I'm taking prasadam or whatever, I'm asking myself, what is the best way to do this in order to please my spiritual master? How I talk to other devotees, is it pleasing to my spiritual master? What is the level of my sadhana? Is it pleasing to my spiritual master? And etc., etc. We actually, every moment of our life, we can ask ourselves, what I'm doing now, is it pleasing to my spiritual master? This is real initiation. of course, we can just strive for that, and it would be nice, at least if we can follow our vows. But this is kind of minimum of civilized person. It's not the highest. Sometimes we think that this is the highest, but actually initiation is just first step in a spiritual life. But we need to strive for the highest. How to dedicate ourselves totally to Krishna. And we do this by the medium of spiritual mastery, by serving him. And of course, here it's very important to mention that serving spiritual master without serving to other devotees, it's not actual full surrender to spiritual master, because spiritual master always wants us to serve other devotees. It's kind of a very beginning level of spiritual practice when we see deities or spiritual master and we don't see other devotees around. We might even be very, very focused on some instructions from spiritual master, but then how we deal with other devotees in a not sensitive way, those offenses will actually prevent us from progress, from actually preventing us from the mercy of spiritual master. Because there is no cheating in devotional service. We only will get as much as our sins, as we sincere, according to our sincerity and according to development of humility. We will not get more than that. We have 15 minutes more. If any comments, objections, corrections, complaints, etc. Everyone welcome to discuss. Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna. Good morning. Thank you so much for the class, Lila Maduria. It's good to be here. Indra to me is always a very puzzling personality. And it seems that sometimes there are great souls that take on the burden, I think, of showing us what not to do, not just what to do. And when you were reading this, and especially because now it's high holy days for Christians, it's Christmas. And, in my home, I'm hearing a lot about Christmas and Jesus Christ and it would be almost the opposite of what Indra just did in this verse is it, rather than passing on the burden of his sinful reactions, taking on everyone else's so that they could have a free, clean slate. And it's interesting because when you were reading it, I'm like, wow, I think about Srila Prabhupada, how he says women should be protected, and not taken advantage of. And it seems that Indra's doing exactly the opposite. He's like exploiting a weakness in every entity that he passes this on to. He's sort of saying, well, the trees, they'd like to regenerate, so I'm going to exploit that. And women, if they're lusty, I'm going to exploit that. And at the end of the day, really absolving himself of what were truly his reactions. And I think that it's the thing that teaches us what not to do, that we should acknowledge our weaknesses, our shortcomings. We should, like it says, share our hearts and our minds in confidence with our senior devotees, with our spiritual masters about these things. And then we should live, like you said, in such a way that these things can begin to be removed, these shortcomings, these weaknesses. And that can only happen, like you said, through pleasing our spiritual masters, because they are the representation of Krishna for us. on earth, and consistently serving to the best of our abilities in devotional service. But it's just, I would love to hear how people, because that's how I interpreted Indra. There's no other way for me to do it other than to say that he's willing to show us through his behavior what we should not do. Otherwise, to me, it just becomes like, well, is that how we're supposed to act? So I would love to hear people's, other devotees' take on that and your take on that. And thank you so much for such a delicate matter, handling it really, really well. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for sharing, Yogeshwari, and for your question. So, regarding Indra, one thing which we need to mention that this is like a position. It's not one the same person. Variety of personalities become Indra. So it's like president of the country, let's say. It's not a name. So Indra is post position. And a variety of personalities become Indra and got into precarious situations. And also in Lagu Bhagavatamrita, you can find information that actually sometimes Indra lose his intelligence by the arrangement of Supreme Personality of Godhead for the sake of Lila. Even he knows the truth, sometimes he loses his intelligence by the arrangement of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the explanation, one of the explanation. Other side is that Indra not necessarily pure devotee of the Lord. And also we can see how actually difficult to be a devotee when you are surrounded by the opulence and power. It is not a very easy position. This is nature of material world. Krishna explains in Srimad Bhagavatam that I'm a property of those akinchanas who doesn't have anything material. When a person possesses material opulences and power, it's a very high level to remember that I am actually simply servant of Krishna, and whatever he gave me is actually his property, not mine, and I have to use whatever I have in his service. So Indra and his precarious situations definitely show us the nature of conditioned soul. He's not a liberated person. He's conditioned soul in material world. So definitely we can see how we should not act. But thanks to his example, we can see what kind of troubles we could have, or we do have actually, because we can be a little Indra. Maybe we don't have so much power as he has, but those desires and tendencies in our heart definitely we have. I'm not sure. Can you indicate if does it reply to your question?
Yes, it really does. And especially thank you for bringing up that it's a position and not a person. Because it really, you see examples right now, even in this country, and this, of a position that's supposed to mean something and is being used in very different ways. So yes, it really does. And it made that part of it that those parts are a little bit difficult, like about the women. And again, I thought very much of how Srila Prabhupada says women should be protected. And of course, we are Vaishnavis and not just, out in the conditioned world, but even, women in general should be protected and not exploited. So, and children and old people. So, yes, thank you very much for your answer.
Thank you. Also, we need to understand what protection of the women means. In first place, protection of the women means do not exploit women sexually. It's in first place. And in Kali Yuga, it just husband can exploit wife and teen. And now, of course, even the institution of family institution is completely destroyed in such a way, in such situation. It just how to protect anyone from lust. Normally, this is the task of Kshatriya in a human society where there are Kshatriyas. So the kings, the Rajarshis, the main function is actually protect citizens from lust. And now we see how we have consuming society where lust is cultivated and encouraged. So sometimes even as a devotees, we may think, oh, protection of the woman, it's okay, I married her and I just provide place to live and something else, some variety of our concoctions. But actually, in first place, it's protect from sexual exploitation because sex is meant for procreation. So if even husband would like to have sex with wife not for procreation purpose, it's actually exploiting. So even our own devotees sometimes do not have this clear idea on that. Because that's what lust do to us. Like Indra, he is a devotee, but lust make us blind. And that's what happened. We create different philosophy or explanation why our lust is not so bad. This is really very dangerous because let's say maybe I'm not able to follow the highest standard of spiritual life right now, but at least if I do not concoct and specify myself that actually this is all right, then it means that in the future, by praying to the Lord can help me, devotees can help me, and I can actually handle my senses and my desires in future. But if I go by pretentious way, I go by the way of concocting my own philosophy, then it's very hard for spiritual master devotees and even Krishna himself to help me. And it doesn't apply only for sexual desire, but for whatever. Because Srila Prabhupada describes standards of spiritual life in his books. And of course, to know those standards, we need to read those books. And first problem in our society, many devotees, they don't read. They think that I have read it 20 years ago, but actually we need to read. We do need to read it again and again to know what actually the highest standards. So our inspirations go towards higher than the lower. And yes, so the main point that once we concoct our own philosophy and we justify our so-called standards, then it's very hard to progress spiritually. We will be bewildered. But if we are in a humble state of mind saying, okay, this is the standard, but right now I'm not there. This is humility and this is fine. This time Krishna will give mercy and such a devotee will be able to follow and progress nicely in devotional service because it's not necessary that we immediately come to ISKCON, women devotees, and we immediately follow everything perfectly. It's not the case. But if we do not change the philosophy, if we do not justify our desires, then we have a good chance to progress. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult. It's time, I think. Deities will give darshan soon. Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And if I said something wrong or touched someone's, please forgive me if I said something wrong. Thank you, Hare Krishna.